And we are live. We are live.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Business Mix Presents Any Other Business.
Yes, welcome and happy July.
Yeah,
Woo!
woo! 1st of July.
We've gone over the first 6 months, even though it feels like 16 months of the year has already happened, but we're over the halfway mark now of 2020. And let's hope the end, was it the latter is greater than the former.
Yes.
Let's hope.
How many days have we been in lockdown now? I don't even.
Isn't it? Haven't we've reached the 100, right? We've reached the 100-day mark.
I think we have. But
congratulations, everybody. Yes, we survived. We persevered.
Yes.
What's that saying? They thought we were something, but we were seeds, and we grew despite them throwing us out. No. I'm gonna find it. Yeah, and next week I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna be so deep and profound. You're gonna marvel. Anyway.
Fantastic. Well, we've got another great guest today, sharing her story.
Yes, we do. We have Eugenia, who is the founder of a Regal Touch. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Chrissy. Thanks
for having me. How are you? How are you? So we're going to get straight into it. So please tell us about yourself, what you do, where you come from. No, just checking out what you do currently.
Okay, sure. So hi, I'm Eugenia, and I am from North London, and I am from Ghana. I'll just answer Chrissy's questions because she wants to know from Ghana. And I am the founder and creative director of A Regal Touch. A Regal Touch is an events company that focuses on events planning, coordination, and styling. So those that don't know events styling, it's basically events decor and design. And so, yeah, that's basically what we do. And we have, we've got experience that spans over a decade. And so that's what we do. I'm sure as we will talk, we'll hear more about the journey, but ultimately we kind of relaunched in January. And yeah, it's been an eventful 6 months.
I'm sure it has. So how long have you started? How long have you been running?
So me personally, I did my first event when I was 17. So it was about a decade ago. And so I started my first event in 2010, and I'd always kind of wanted to do events. However, the Regal Touch kind of came into play, let's say 2015. However, because I was studying, I wasn't really focusing on it. It was kind of like my side hustle. I do the odd event every weekend. Although I was doing events prior to that, the kind of Regal Touch brand kind of came into play 2014, 2015. Ooh, actually, I think it was earlier than that. I think I just got my math wrong. But I've been doing events.
A long time.
I incorporated the company. That's why I'm just a bit like, but it was born and birthed way before that. So it's been about 10 years in the making. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, 10 years. That's like a whole decade in time. What was it that inspired you to start originally?
So I think, it might sound cliche, but it was one of the things that came naturally to me. So I was always the organizer in my group of friends. I was always the one that, I'd organize let's meet up, or I'd organize the limo for prom. You just focus on your books. What's all this organizing? It was always me. And so I think in 2010, I was working with an artist, and he wanted to launch his music, his album. And then I organized my first event, and it was about 400 people there, and it was really enjoyable. It did come naturally to me, and I just really enjoyed the kind of logistical elements, kind of building the plan and the day, and eventually executing it, and the kind of fulfillment that came when it went smoothly, and even when things were tough, just kind of working hard to iron out the kinks and still make sure the show went on. And then I had another event with my church. So that was, I think, about 3-4 months later, and that had 600 people. So I was doing really big and large-scale musical events to begin with. Then when I went to university, I kind of saw that, baby showers started to become a thing, and weddings were take things taken up to the next level. It was no longer just, oh, we're just attending. It was that there's so much detail. And it was actually right up my alley. So even though I was studying a law degree, I started to, started mood boarding. Pinterest had just kind of been born. And so a lot of my time on blogs and just kind of looking at events. And I was like, you know what, I want my own events company one day. I just remember sitting there with my contract law book on my lap, like I want to do events. But I still wanted to just make sure I finished my degree, pursued law, and I am, when I'm currently not working, but when I do work, I work in the legal kind of sector. So I kind of use my degree, but ultimately I always knew that my passion was in events, and I'd always want to have an events company. And yeah, here we are, 10 years on.
10 years later.
And here you go. There you go. And studying a law degree, which is crazy. And we always talk on the Business Mix about people having their side hustle, having their passion. And now, look, 10 years later, this is where you are. This is where you are. So you've got this events coordinating company. Now, lockdown has come in. People aren't going to events. Events are being cancelled left, right, and centre. What have you had to kind of switch up in your company to kind of keep relevant?
Sure. So I think this is, when I was talking about the relaunch in January, I had an event, a baby shower for a good friend of mine, and that was basically snowballing into inquiries, and then COVID. For such a time as this, like I'm actually doing what I'm passionate about. I'm actually doing what I love, and this is amazing. And then all of a sudden, lockdown. It was like,
now what?
And now my birthday was in April, and I was livid. I was just starved. I'm a birthday girl. I love to celebrate my birthday.
Oh,
and went down the drain, and I just remember sitting here thinking, no events, no. What am I going to do? Like, this is my bread and butter. It's what I thrive on. It's what I love to do. Then one of my friends asked me to kind of just help her decorate one of our other friends' room for her birthday. We just tried to keep it as safe as possible, all contactless. Just did up her room, and I was just looking around, and I was like, I can't even do room decor because we can't be around anyone. But I just personalized some balloons, and I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to ship these balloons nationwide. I'm gonna figure out how people are still going to be celebrated on their special days, whether it's a newborn, whether it's graduation, whether it's weddings, engagement. Whatever it looks like, people still need to be celebrated. There's so much going on in this world.
Yeah.
The worst thing is to wake up on your day, on a day that's very important to you, and feel like I can't even do anything. But at least once you open the door and this big box comes through with this balloon, hopefully it would put a smile on your face. And that's literally what I endeavored to do. And so we switched it up by personalizing and creating personalized balloon packages. And so shipping them out nationwide. It's had orders to Scotland, orders to Bristol, literally north, south of the UK, Birmingham, West, Nottingham East, and it's been amazing how people have actually wanted to buy balloons. Some would say balloons are just like, they're kind of like really novelty that no one really kind of would invest in. But I think the personalized effect kind of just gives it that little bit of a extra touch that people feel like, you know what, I feel special and I feel loved on, and that's what we wanted to create. And so that's what we've had to switch to.
And it's that surprise element as well, because you don't expect to get a box and you don't expect to see balloons, do you know what I mean, come out. So the whole surprise element of, oh my gosh, like, and it's only, as you said, like it's only balloons. Like you could go and buy balloons yourself if you wanted to, but it's not personalized. It doesn't have that, that Regal touch, I will say, so yeah, I like the, I guess, the ingenuity and just the kind of what can we do that is related to, the stock that we have anyway. We decorate walls, like we have balloons. Right. How can we use these, but in a different way, and another kind of side to the business? So yeah, I think that's, and a lot of people have done that. A lot of people have been thinking, like, for example, restaurants. Right. Obviously they can't, they're not able to have the customers in, but they've got bags of flour sitting in their kitchen. So they're like, right, let's just bag these up in smaller bags and we can sell them. So it's using what you have. And I think that's really important as entrepreneurs. We're very resourceful anyway. You know, we can make something out of nothing all the time. What have we got sitting around us, probably staring us in the face day in, day out, that we can kind of utilize, repackage, and send out again. So love that.
So Eugenia, myself and Rachel are quite loud. Just can I ask you just to...
Sure, no problem. Sorry, I'll use my outdoor voice.
Your outdoor voice. Thank you. Everyone wants to hear what you have to say.
Sure.
So yes, you're in the events industry, that's what we're saying. Right. Can I talk about Afro Nation, please?
Feel free to talk about Afro Nation.
Let's talk about Afro Nation. I'm sure everyone's heard a whole lot.
Don't upset our viewers, yeah. Like, I don't want them to turn off right now.
It's an innocent question, kind of. I'm not preaching to. You know, a lot of people have booked, not just Afro Nation, to be honest. A lot of events. I myself booked to see Craig David in Ibiza in July. Don't laugh. And I was distraught that it was cancelled. But organisations such as Afro Nations are having to cancel their events, these large events. People have paid for flights, people have paid for the event. I go back to Afro Nation because I saw on social media that they weren't giving back refunds, but rather saying, come next year when everything's settled. Now, is that the norm? And how do you feel about that? Is that something you've had to do yourself? You know, when people have booked stuff?
Sure. So with myself, when I had cancellations, I refunded my clients or gave them the option to reschedule and hold the deposit. So for me, I think the reason why the Afro Nation backlash came about was because of how it was handled. Right. So as you mentioned, Afro Nation wasn't the only event that had to be cancelled. Really cancelled. Wireless was cancelled. Wimbledon's been cancelled. However, there was a certain way that the respective companies conducted themselves. They got ahead. So it wasn't that the customers went to them to try and figure it out. And even if they did, they handled it in a very professional manner. And I think whether or not Afro Nation handled theirs in a professional manner. So when they finally came to a resolution, people were already upset because there's people from social media that hadn't gone down well. And so, you know, I think had they maybe approached it as, we can see what's going on and we're going to just wait to see what the government says, we will let you know, I think people would have been a little bit more understanding, for one. And secondly, I think it's difficult in terms of the refund element. And the reason why I say it's difficult is because as an event company, if you've got an event going on, you've paid your artists, you paid for your venue, you've basically spent the deposit money. Some people don't necessarily have funding that's separate from ticket sales. There's a lot of event companies that are reliant on ticket sales, reliant on deposits before they can actually make news for an event. And so sometimes those kind of things might just need to be articulated a little bit to your clients. Of course, no one's you don't want to go to a client and say, hey, I haven't got any money to give back. But there's a way that you go about it. There's a way you structure it. PR is real. So maybe your company as to how you can structure that so that your clients know that, hey, we appreciate your custom. We hear that you wanted this event. We know we're in a volatile period. However, at this stage, it's difficult for us to provide this refund. So what we can do is provide it at a later date. Or if you are happy to wait until next year, your ticket's transferable. So there's a way to do these things. And I just think that the reason why Afro Nation completely backfired and blew up is because of the way it has been conducted. It's not always what it said, it's how it's said. And I think that people will be upset.
I think we all know people who have been upset have been upset because of the way that was handled. We all know people that have bought tickets. And do you know what it was as well? Because last year was so fire, because last year it banged, like it just blew up. And so everybody was looking forward to this year. But as you said, you know, it's nobody's fault as it's not the event organizers' fault as what's happened. And I think most people are actually really understanding of that. And I think most people completely, they understood, they got that. As you said, it's just the way that the aftermath was, because there were lots of other events that got cancelled. There was Soca Fest, like there was just so many that got cancelled, but handled a bit differently. What would be your advice to somebody who has kind of, for whatever reason, they have to make changes to an advertised event? So it was advertised in one way, but for whatever reason, due to negligence or whether, things out of your control, you've now have to change elements of that. How would you advise event organizers to actually communicate that to their audience and to ticket buyers?
Sure. I think firstly, you have to appreciate your clients for why you're here. And I think if you neglect to appreciate your clients and to help them understand that, listen, I know you were looking forward to this, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we cannot do this. I think already there's that element of, okay, it's not just about money. They care about me. And if it's in an advertised event, I think one of the things to do is contact those that have already bought tickets first.
Yeah.
They're the ones that need to know. Okay, so we know this is going on. We understand borders are shut, for example. We understand that you can't get on flights, for example, or we know that it's an outdoor event and there's rain. Email those clients first, those that have already got their tickets, before you publicize anything else for the world to see. The people that actually bought the tickets need to hear from you first. They're already in whatever it is you're promoting. Then keep them updated. So there are some things that are completely out of our control, but keep them updated. Continue to allow your clients to see that, listen, we care about you. It's important that you're happy. And as a result, we're doing everything in our power to make this as a smooth process for you as possible. That you cannot execute the event, then you come back to them and explain, we can't execute the event. So these are the options in terms of getting your money back. We either transfer it to another date, or we will provide a discount for another ticket, or we will refund you. And bear in mind, refunds aren't going to be 5 to 7 working days. They might be. And I think it's just that element of communication. If people are in the know and they are made to feel like you are important and we want you to be happy, I think that people will be more understanding. It's uncomfortable to be in a position where you can't deliver your event. It's very uncomfortable. However, you have to make sure your clients and your vendors, actually, because vendors are also affected by cancellation. They're absolutely in the know, and that they are taken care of. Otherwise, you can't damage your brand.
I think you're right. Communication is key at the end of the day. And as you said, there's no point in putting something out publicly if you haven't actually informed people who have paid to be there first. Update people, say, hey, we haven't got any further information yet, but we're just letting you know that we haven't got any information yet. That's what people want to know. They want to know, as you said, that they feel taken care of, that they've been accommodated for, that they've been thought of even and acknowledged. So I think that is key, because as you know, planning events, and literally anything can happen. And so just, I guess, letting people know that, hey, we are thinking of you, but there's nothing we can do right now except to think of you. I guess it will help.
And these, where you sell your tickets and stuff, they're making it easier for you to
get your money back.
Connect with your attendees and speak to them, tell them what's happening, and keep them updated. So it's definitely a tool that people should be using.
Definitely. All right, so now lockdown's easing off now, where apparently things are going to go back to some kind of normality. For yourself and for your business, are you going to kind of like revert to exactly how you were before COVID and lockdown? Are there some elements of like your new business model that you're going to keep, or I don't know? How do you feel about that?
So as you're right, lockdown is easing off. Card shops are opening. People can grab their own balloons now. So I'm not having to liaise with clients at 2 a.m. who need last minute balloons. However, we've seen that people personalization. I personally love personalization, and I think that if people love that, and they still want to, we're definitely going to keep this side of the business. We are definitely going to revert back to our decor and our events actual coordination once, you know, things start to pick up on that side of things. But we're definitely looking at how we can keep this side of the business and continue to, you know, grow it as well as the coordination side of things, because we are first an events coordination and styling company, and so that's who we are. But now we've kind of entered the gifts sector, so we're not planning to leave the gift sector either. So yeah, so that's the plan. So hopefully things will be clearer in the next few months to come.
And then you've got kind of like Christmas coming up, Christmas office parties and all sorts.
All those things. Yeah, definitely looking at decorating offices and all those different things. So yeah, we're looking forward to see what can come out of people going back to work, people going back to, you know, having parties again. You know?
Yeah.
I think everyone's been shaking their leg. So I think the whole world is excited.
Definitely. Definitely. We got a message from Anna who says she loves personalization. So yes, it's a real thing. So I'm going to ask then, if lockdown hadn't happened, would you have thought about this side of your business? Do you think you would have pursued it, or is it something that's just come because lockdowns happen and we've had to think outside the box?
Sure. So I mean, because I had just relaunched, my focus was getting back to doing decor and getting back to building my page, and you know, I've had to kind of revamp my client list and my vendor list. Finally, actually, I had no clients because what had happened was over the years I'd have to turn down events because I had exams, and I'd have to people then started to go to other event organizers and develop the rapport there, and so as a result, I started to lose my clients. So it was starting completely afresh. So, you know, now I've completely developed a brand new client list. And so I think for me, I probably wouldn't have ventured down these things as I had lockdown not happened. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been thinking about how am I going to ship balloons to Preston. I would have started a new job. So the whole, what kind of birthed this as well is the fact that I was meant to start a new role and they deferred my start date indefinitely, and it was too fast. How do you pay your bills? How do you maintain relevance in the event industry when no one's thinking about events right now? And so it had to force me to think about what can be done safely, what can put a smile on people's faces. If lockdown hadn't happened, we'd still be partying and we'd still be doing events and we'd still be doing baby showers. So I'd be, you know, in the front line in that sense of things. But because that's been taken away, we have to think that people can appreciate these things. And I think if this hadn't happened, my clients wouldn't have appreciated it. If that makes sense. Like, lost the opportunity to be celebrated. Now it's been restored back to you. And you've lost the opportunity to celebrate your loved one and be near them. And now you can do that. So I think lockdown had to kind of force that to happen. Yeah.
We've got a question from Ellen. And she says, do you think there's going to be an overload of parties after restrictions are eased?
I hope so.
I think that is absolutely yes.
My 40th one.
40th reloaded.
Oh.
I think even now, anyone has the opportunity to have a barbecue that they're taking it. You know, people have been around their loved ones for months, and so they want to socialize. People just miss having a hug. Yeah. People miss, you know, having a cocktail. You know, people miss it. There's definitely going to be an overload of parties. So I anticipate that strongly. So yes, definitely will be an overload. I just hope everyone's going to be safe as they're partying.
Very true. Well, I guess with the overload of parties, that's good for you, right?
I'm not complaining. Don't carry my way.
Absolutely. But everyone, I mean, I follow you, Eugenia, and I love the kind of warmth that you've given people in their homes, that they're celebrating in their homes, and they have these beautiful personalized balloons. So everyone, G's going to give us all her contact details later, but you must follow and get that, definitely. So you started this, did you have to raise any additional funds for this? If you haven't got everything.
So I think that the biggest thing was, again, I had just come out of a job. I was transitioning, and I just had enough to kind of keep me actually, I had enough to keep me over for a couple of months, but there was no money to kind of invest back into my birth into and so I had birthday money I used to buy tank. My siblings were like, okay, hey, we're gonna invest in your business. What do you need? And so they, like, my family have been amazing. My friends have been an amazing support. So I mean, literally, I had to look for money, and it kind of just, like, by God's grace, came to me. If I'm honest, I didn't look too hard. I didn't have to struggle too much to get what I needed just to start up the business. So yeah, it's meant that, you know, I've been able to kind of do everything in house. I don't have to outsource anymore. So I'm outsourcing my vinyls, etc. I do that all in house.
Oh wow!
Everything. Watch out for our Insta stories in the next couple of days. We're going to see the kind of a Regal touch experience and process. So yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting. I'm basically my own admin. I'm my own PA. I'm my own courier.
I was gonna say. So, are you actually delivering the balloons yourself?
So those that are in the local area, I deliver them. And we have some balloons. They're called the ART Trio. They're the people's favorite. Like 3 massive balloons. I actually had them on the show, but they're gone now. But so yeah, they get delivered quite a bit. And then everything else gets couriered. So I mean, I do delivering. I do all the cutting. My family, if they're around, will give me a hand. So, yeah, but most of it is flying this, sailing this ship solo. Fine.
So can I just ask then, what has been the most, I guess, challenging or testing aspect of starting something new during this lockdown, economic downturn, whatever you want to call it? And if we have to go into lockdown again, would you think of starting something again?
I think for me personally, I think it's been time management, and it's learning how to, again, like I mentioned, I'm basically kind of steering all the wheels. And so it's just managing that time, being present for my clients, dealing with the urgent queries, but also turning things around quickly, and having to be kinder to myself when I can't do those things in a certain time frame, and also learning to manage people's expectations. I think from an industry perspective, it's experiencing shortages, stuff like helium. There could be shortages of helium. Stuff there could be shortages in balloons, and I'm having to learn these as I'm going along. So I think with that, it's learning how to adapt that without your clients catching on. So a number of things that have been going on in the industry, my clients don't have a clue. I just have to and get it out there and make sure that there's a smile on their faces, and that's my priority, making sure my clients are happy. I think if there had been another lockdown, we would think of something else, because my business needs to continue to thrive. I need to continue to pay my bills, and I also need to make sure that my clients are satisfied. That's the most important thing. So I think stuff like this, it's always the tougher kind of situations and environments that kind of force you to have to think on your feet, even when it's uncomfortable. You don't feel like you know what to do.
Fantastic. We've got another question.
When am I planning to branch out of the UK?
When are you going international, baby?
International, baby.
On the agenda, but I cannot give a time and date as it stands. Things are too unprecedented as it stands, but definitely a Regal Touch is it will be an international brand. I've had so many queries. Can you ship to the US? Can you ship to Denmark? Can you ship to Ghana? I'm like, I can't. But I would love to be able to, bring our expertise abroad. So yes, definitely something that's on the horizon. Just haven't got a date just yet.
Watch out for that. Cassandra is asking, she's saying you're doing an amazing job. I don't know if that's to us or to you, but we'll all claim it. We're all doing an amazing job. Do you plan on adding any more customized gifts or products on top of the balloons, basically?
Yes, is the answer. So we have, those that are watching this show are going to get the first scoop on this, but we are releasing exclusive our personalized gift hampers. So we've been kind of pushing them out. I've had a couple of friends like, oh, can I have something else for the balloons? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll throw a hamper in there. And I post on Instagram, and people are like, no, we need this now, like today. And I'm like, guys, okay, let me figure this out. Let me figure this out. So managed to get some suppliers, etc., etc. So yeah, so look out for that. Yeah, very looking forward to launching that and adding that to the service, because people, want something else other than balloons. So just to figure that out, and then hopefully in a few weeks' time you'll see that on our page.
Okay, last question before we get your contact details. I would just like to end on a high and find out what's been the best, most memorable kind of like business moment since you started doing the personalization service.
Sure. I think it's hitting those milestones of like, oh wow, I've hit my first X amount of orders and my first this amount of money. You're just like, wow, like I can't quite believe it. But then I also think it's my client feedback. I'm like really like some of the things that I get sent, some of the emails that I receive, even before people actually make their inquiries, the encouragement, it's like, wow, like people don't even know my face. Maybe if I see this flyer on my Instagram, they might then see, oh wow. So it's like, wow, people are really, really supporting me. I've had repeat clients. I've had clients from America ordering for their family members in the UK. And I think it's like people entrusting you with celebrating their loved ones, celebrating themselves. That is probably the biggest heartwarming thing for me. But then it's also the business side of things and reaching those goals. It's like, oh wow, I'm very, very kind of like blown away. I'm very humbled by the whole experience.
Fantastic.
Well, congratulations. And yeah, we hope your business continues to grow from strength to strength. And we're always available for, personal balloons or anything that might come our way. That's fine. Where can people get at you and see? Oh, I can see up here now. So we've got at a Regal Touch on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to drop me an email, it's info@aregaltouch.com.
Perfect.
Oh, the half an hour has gone so quickly. But Eugenia, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
And guys, thanks for listening in.
Thank you.
For your questions.
Yes, thanks for listening in. Thanks for typing your questions. And join us next week when we're going to have actually another fantastic guest telling us how they started up in a lockdown on any other business. Have a great evening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.